Hello, welcome to SQL Zero to Hero, Session 4. Going to get started on that. So today we're going to talk about some aggregates. Last week we talked about joins a lot, spent a lot of time on joins and primary keys and foreign keys. This week I'm talking about aggregates. It's aggregation of data. It's used very commonly in data analysis and reports. What's related to it is group by and having, and also views. So what are the aggregates? Aggregates calculate a value of a column on one or more rows. And there's 5 main aggregates. One is count, which counts how many rows are in a particular column. Average calculates the average of a group of selected values. Min, the lowest value of a particular column. Max, the highest value of a particular column. And sum adds all of those values in a particular column together. Syntax. So basic syntax is a select statement from table. And in the from part would be, and the column part rather, is where you'd have the aggregates up here. So it might be AVG, for example, there. From table, and you have a group by. Optionally, you can have a having, which we will discuss later on. And also order would be optional. So here's an example. Select count star from table. Give you a count of something. In this example, we will look at doing, say, select count from customer. Go over to MySQL here. Make sure we do this. There. Okay, what we'll see gives us 5. You can see that there. And over here, 5. Now, again, if we look at the customer table right here, and just open it, we'll see, just eyeballing it, we can see there's 5. So that count is correct. That just gives us the number of rows in the customer table. There's no where clause or anything like that. So it's just a raw count of all the rows in the customer table. 5 rows. Min will give you the minimum price, minimum value of a particular column. So for here, we'll look at our items table and we'll say, what is the minimum? $100. Now, again, one of the things we can do is we can just look at the items table and we can eyeball it and make sure it's correct. And minimum price, we can take a look just by eyeballing it. We can see it. That's right there. It's 100. So that is correct. Next, the maximum. Okay, it's just the opposite of min is the largest. Again, if we just quickly eyeball it, we can see 3,000 is the maximum price. So I can come over here and I'm just going to change min to max. Okay, execute that. And again, we got 3,000. So that is correct. Average, give the average of a price. So now this is going to give us here, if I throw the average, replace max with AVG for average, it's going to give us the average of all the prices. So come over here, just throw that one in, AVG. And it gives us the average. Sum, just going to add them all up. So sum. We go over to our table and look at the atoms. There's only 3 of them. We can add them up pretty easily. We can tell that's going to be 4,600. Should be 4,600. So now we just replace AVG with sum. And you get 4,600. Now we can put this all together. Let's put this all together, right? That's what I mean by putting it all together. We'll say, okay, count. And for count, you can just put an asterisk because it's just going to count of rows as rows, total rows. And we'll put here, what do we have? Minimum amount. We had min price as min underscore price, let's say. Max price as max price. And we had also AVG price as AVG price. And finally, sum as sum price. So this just kind of puts all of them together into a single query. Execute this, and we get that. And let's just see here. All right, sum. I'm just going to throw that one in there. Putting it all together. Get rid of those. Just going to put it all together. Then putting it all together, right? There it is, putting it all together. Okay, next. Now this is doing some other stuff here. Just another example using the employees table. What this is doing is it's saying count from employees and a count of department. So when you do a count asterisk, that means everything. Just count everything. When you put a column in there, it's going to count based on that ID. So on that column. And if there's a null in there, it's going to skip it. So if we go to our employees table, let's go to the employees table here, take a look at it. We'll notice that one of the departments is null. So when you put the department ID in there, if it's null, it ignores it. That's why you're getting 7 total count star, just saying count everything. Here it's just saying count department ID. So it counts all the department IDs unless it's a null. Nulls are ignored. There. And you can see that there. It's ignored. You can also do distinct. For this here, I have a new table that I brought in to kind of, so we have a large amount of data called a zip code table. It's just all the zip codes in the United States. For those of you in other countries, this would just be like a postal code or postcode. And the zip code file is quite big. So here I'm going to say select count distinct physical state, distinct physical city from zip codes. And so it's giving us one for each. So that's the total number of zip codes. It's quite a few. What is that? 44,000. 559 is distinct. Physical state, you might say, well, there's 50 states. Where do the other 9 come from? Well, there's 50 states, plus there's also some non-state territories like the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, Virgin Islands, a couple of others. So the total number is actually going to be, something like 59. Okay, now here's distinct here. I have a product table. We're going to look at counting a distinct type and SKU. This is just another example. And if we look at our products, this is the products table. Got 2 product table here. So here. It's got this, so the distinct SKU and type. So each one of these. And total count, so total number of count, the products table. Plus the distinct type, so the 6 types out of the 25. And the SKUs look like the unique, so it's basically a unique value. Now here we're adding a where clause. Now I'm saying I only want them if the price is greater than 0. So it's going to give us a slightly different value return or list out of, what are we out here? Out of this. So look at the ones at price. So we got our product table here. I can just put that same where clause in here where sale price greater than 0. And we can see if you add it up, there is just 7, right? 7, yeah, 7. There is just 7. So that number is correct. Now from products, now I'm doing a little different, do the same thing, but now what I'm going to do is add the group by. What does the group by do? The group by creates one group based on a column or columns in the group by. So I'm saying group by categories. That means that for every distinct category, you're going to get one row in the output. For each distinct category, you're going to get one row in the output. Now we look at this here, it looks like we've got 6. If we go over to our table for product, we're going to get rid of this where clause so we can see everything. We can see that groups are over here somewhere. Where you at? Here you are, categories. Each one of these is distinct. So, and the counts, these 3 counts are going to apply to each group. So you're not going to get a count of the entire table. You're going to get a count based on each group. Okay. So now if we look at this query here, we'll pull this one out. We'll see what's happening here. And typically these aggregates are used as groups. They're not used specifically individually. That's usually not the case. Usually the aggregates are used in combination with groups. So we get that. We can go back to our, let's go back to the example with the zip codes. Physical state. Let's take a look at this one here too. Let me see. Group by categories. Okay, looks like that's the same thing. Let's go back to our zip code example. So now, right, when I did this here, I got only one row. But what if I want to see that by state? I can say group by physical state. Now, we probably want to get rid of this column here because it's not going to make any sense, right? Because it should come back one for each one. So each that's it really doesn't make sense to have this any longer because it's always going to be one. But now here you get count. And now actually what we probably want to do is we want to add state in here as a label so that we can see it because you can get each state you'll see right there, physical state. So you have the individual state there and the count. If you wanted to order it alphabetically, maybe by physical state, right? That gives you an alphabetical order. So that's a good example there, getting numbers by state. And that's something that's common. A lot of times a company might want a sales report with summary data by state to see what it's selling by state, for example, or, different countries made by country, the country or province within a country or something like that, or county. So the group by is very good for that. And it's commonly used there. So what do we have here? We have another one here that's going to our products table. Is also creating, there's another good one, a sales report. So this is we're doing a group by short description. We could have done this by category as well. And we could try both. We'll go in here, we'll take this. And again, this is a lot of these aggregates and these group bys are used for reporting purposes. Summary reports to management, data analysis, data analytics, very common where these are used in that area. So now you're kind of getting to the area of data analysis, analytics, reporting with these very commonly used there. So this might give us sort of a report here, a simple report. Now, this would, be printed out in a nice, prettier format, but this is sort of the raw data that could find itself in a report. And we could do this by, we've got short type, you could probably do it by category. I think categories is another one. So let's try before the last example we did by category. So you might want to do this maybe just by categories. But what this does show here is a compound group. In other words, you're creating it's going to be a combination of type and short description that are unique and create a single row in the output. Right? The group by is going to, whatever it is, even if it's a combination of columns, is going to create one single row in the output. And all the data within that group is aggregated. So I'm going to change this to categories, similar to the last example. Also, keep us. I'm going to talk towards the end of this thing about something I'm thinking about doing with a either a podcast or some sort of online office hour type meeting, talking about SQL stuff where people could join and in real time ask questions. And I'm not going to charge anything; it's free. So stand by towards the end of the video. I'll talk more about that. Okay, same sort of thing. Now it's giving us a summary report by category. Again, this might be a useful sales report that management would want to see or something. What we're adding here now is the same one here, but we're adding a having clause. A having clause is like a where clause for groups. What does it do? It adds a filter to the group. A where clause is a filter for individual rows. The having is a filter for groups. So the groups are created first, and then this having filter is applied after that. So what am I saying here is I only want rows returned having a count greater than 2. Go back to here. This one. Now I'm gonna run this query again without the having. And you see I got like 6 rows. And if you look at the count, total sales, you're going to see that only 2 of them are greater, right? And that's what we probably get is 2. We get 2. Now I said greater. I didn't say greater than or equal to. You'll notice that several of them have exactly 2, but this says greater than 2. Oh, if I wanted to include it, then I could say greater than or equal to, and then those 2 additional rows will be included. So the having is a filter on the groups, right? Because it's having count. Count is a count per group. Okay, so just to reiterate, where filters rows of data, having filters groups of data. And I'm going to show you the difference by using the where clause and the having clause. And you're going to see that you're going to get different data, different results. You got 3 rows here. It says where sales price greater than 0. Okay, you got 3 rows. And let's create another one. Oh, what happened? There we go. Okay, so we can compare these side by side. Okay, that shows the results you got for the having. Now here's the where. Now some having has to use an aggregate in it, so it's got to do that. So we're going to take this one here, here. Okay, you got 3 rows, but you're going to notice some differences. The values are different, 5 different. So even you got through, it gave you different values. Just happened to both be 3. So the having and where clause work differently. And to recap, where clause filters rows of data, having clause filters groups of data. Okay. Last thing I'm going to talk about tonight, and in this session, and we're going to talk about this more in depth in the next session because it's a big topic. It's an important topic. Simplifying with views. In SQL, a view is a virtual table based on the results of an SQL statement. A view contains rows and columns just like a real table. The SQL statement is saved under the view name, but not the data. That's important to understand. You are not taking a copy of the data and saving it. You are saving a copy of the SQL statement as a view, and so it persists. It's available later on, but it's storing the query, not the data. So here's one example. Create sales report. This is our sales report that we just did. And you can save both copies of it. I mean, I'll do the one without the, well, it doesn't matter. Do it to wear clothes. Now I'm gonna have to come over here and say, I think I already created this view. Where is it? Somewhere here. Okay. Views. No, I did not create it. No, okay. I thought I created it already. All right. Let's go here. Create. Ooh, didn't like something like, oh, it says it already exists. I guess I did exist. Let me do a refresh here. There it is. I'm just gonna get rid of it. Drop it. Okay, now it's gone. Now I'm gonna create it. Worked. Do a refresh here. And then again, this is MySQL. All databases allow you to do views. And here it is. It's the sales report. If I right click and this clear, it shows me it. Now this thing does not store data. It shows the view definition. And let me show you. I go right click and I say alter view. What you see here is it's storing the query. There's no data stored. It's stored this view. Every time you say, I want to look at this view, it executes the underlying query that made up the view. So here, in this case, I say select star from view underscore sales. So it works like a regular query against the table. But what's happening behind the covers is the query that made up the view is being executed. This makes the data a lot simpler for someone who's maybe just a beginner in SQL. You may have someone who's working in a marketing department that knows some basic SQL, but doesn't know how to do things like all this aggregation. Look, this is complicated, right? This is simple. So as a data analyst, you may be creating a sales department by saying, oh, I need a view for this report. And they just know some basic SQL. They don't know, anything fancy. So you create the view and the query rather, and once, say, the marketing department or accounting or whatever says, oh yeah, that's it. That's the data I want. You create a view out of it. And then you say to the marketing department, here's your query. Just execute this query. That's it. Very simple. So it's simplicity. And a lot of times you're dealing with people on, in another department or a customer. They're not as SQL savvy as you are. So you got to give them something simple. There's also a level of security here because the view can restrict what data they see. So that makes it more secure. So there's also security benefits to using views, not just simplicity. And we're going to get more into views in next section because it actually is a very important topic. Here, the sales report. One more example. This one here, this one here is the one we did earlier, the customer purchases. We looked at this one earlier. Get rid of that. Yeah, get rid of that. And now this is you're joining several tables here to get this here. We had to go from the customer to the city to the order line for the product. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables. Okay, let's take this thing here. First of all, let's just look at the query. Okay, it's a sales report. Or this might be something management's interested in. But the business people in there, they're like, oh, they can barely do select star from. So they're not going to be able to do something this complicated. So you as the sort of the database and SQL expert will create a view for them. Right there. The view already exists again. View customer. Right. Actually, I got rid of it. And drop it. Get rid of that view. Okay, now I can create the view, and it's created. Do a refresh. View. And so this is what you're going to give to whatever that department is: marketing, management, the finance, whatever, accounting. Here you go. Here's your view. Here's your view for your sales report. And they'll use that. And they might take this and put it into some end user tool that queries it. So it's very simple. So views are a very big, important topic. One of the main reasons for it is simplicity. Simplification. You're simplifying the data. You're simplifying the view of the data. And, again, this is also going to be like when you're doing full stack applications. You don't want to embed a bunch of complicated SQL inside of a PHP program or a Python or Java, JavaScript, whatever. You don't want to do that. It's messy. Also, you're exposing a lot of information about your database. So there's simplicity. There's also security benefits to using views because you're not really exposing details about your database with a view. There's a views and do the query from the view. Okay, that's it. Questions. Post whatever questions you have, your comments, and I'll answer them. I monitor my YouTube channel on a regular basis daily. I'll try and answer the questions. Then next week, we're going to go more on views because it's an important topic. Temporary tables, case statements. Please subscribe to my channel. Also, let me just put my website here again. And watch this website and also my channel, because what I'm planning on doing, and I've done this before, is starting up like some sort of online session where you can attend in person and I'll be there. You can ask questions live, real time. The session is over Zoom. It will be recorded and uploaded to my YouTube channel. And yeah, it's I don't charge anything for it. And I'll be doing this, probably won't be until sometime in February because I'll be doing some traveling in January. But there will be another video next week as well. And until then, have a good weekend.